This video will focus on the big idea section to be included in the lesson plan. What is a big idea? The big idea of a lesson refers to the overarching concept or main understanding that students should grasp after engaging with the lesson's content, activities, and discussions. It is the central focus of the lesson. It is broad and transferable. It represents the central focus or key takeaway of the lesson. The big idea helps students see the relevance and interconnectedness of the lesson's content, enabling deeper learning and application of knowledge. The purpose of identifying and conveying the big idea is to provide students with a meaningful and coherent framework for understanding and organizing the specific details and information they encounter during the lesson. For example, in a science lesson about ecosystems, the big idea might be interdependence of living organisms. Throughout the lesson, students would explore the interactions and relationships between different organisms in an ecosystem, understanding how they rely on each other for survival. The big idea emphasizes the concept of interdependence as the central understanding they should develop. In a literature lesson analyzing a novel, the big idea might be the power of perspective. Students would examine how different characters' perspectives shape the events and themes of the story. The big idea highlights the importance of perspective and its impact on understanding and interpreting narratives. Identifying and articulating the big idea of a lesson helps teachers clarify their instructional goals and guide students towards the essential understanding they should gain from the lesson. It promotes meaningful learning, critical thinking, and the ability to transfer knowledge and concepts to new contexts. What's the big idea? How to write the big ideas of the lesson? When writing the big ideas of a lesson, it's important to consider the following steps. First of all, we need to identify the core concept. So as a teacher, reflect on the main concept or overarching idea that the lesson aims to convey. This concept should be central to the lesson's content and align with the learning objectives. Broad and transferable. Craft the big idea to be broad enough to encompass the key aspects of the lesson, while also being applicable to other contexts. It should transcend the specific details of the lesson and have broader relevance. The third point is the clarity. Ensure clarity and understandability while writing the big idea, keeping in mind that students should be able to easily grasp its meaning. Use straightforward language that is accessible to the student's grade level and prior knowledge. Avoid technical terms that might hinder understanding. Consider phrasing the big idea as a statement or a guiding question that encapsulates the central theme. Relevance. Make sure that your students are able to connect the big idea to real world applications or contexts. This will help the students see how the concept being explored in the lesson relates to their lives that they live, and it connects to their daily experience. This connection can enhance students' engagement and motivation. Last but not least, you need to make sure that the big idea is aligned with the intended learning outcomes. The big idea should encompasses the essential understanding or knowledge that students should acquire by the end of the lesson. Remember that the big idea serves as a guiding principle for the lesson, helping students understand the larger significance of the content and its application beyond the immediate context. It should be revised and reinforced throughout the lesson to deepen understanding and promote meaningful learning. Let's think about the main criteria that will determine whether the big idea of a lesson is good or poor. Number one, it has to be relevant. A good big idea should be meaningful and applicable beyond the immediate lesson, connecting to real world situations or other areas of study. It should connect to real world contexts or other subjects, allowing students to see the broader significance and application of the concept being taught. A big idea has practical value beyond the immediate lesson. Aligned. A good big idea should capture the essential understanding or knowledge that students are expected to gain by the end of the lesson. It should capture the central understanding that students are expected to acquire, and it should reflect the core concepts and skills outlined in the learning objectives. Clear. A good big idea should be expressed in clear and accessible language using terms and phrases that are appropriate for the student's grade level and prior knowledge. It should be expressed in clear manner using vocabulary for students to understand and to connect with the prior knowledge that they have acquired. Thus, it should not create confusion or misunderstanding. Engaging. A good big idea should be compelling and relevant enough to capture the attention of students and motivate them to explore the content further. It should capture students' attention, and it should encourage active participation in the learning process. Coherent. A good big idea should provide a coherent framework for organizing the content and activities. It should allow students to make connections between the different parts of the lesson and develop a deeper understanding of the subject matter. the depth. A good big idea should go beyond the surface level understanding, allowing students to apply the concept to different situations. It should promote students to analyze, to evaluate, or apply knowledge rather than simply recall facts or information. Starting from the big idea, any evaluator could tell if the learning is a surface learning or a deep learning. The 6 keywords that should be in front of us as teachers when we are evaluating the big idea stated in the lesson plan to tell whether it's a good or poor big idea are summarized by relevance, alignment, clarity, engagement, coherence, and depth.